Footy and Frothies preview time. Daggy and Barney are back with you to get stuck into round 26 of the National Rugby League. The finish line's in sight, Barn.
Yes, mate. It's not far away now.
No,
It's all shaping up.
about 6
There'll be
weeks
some
to
hotly
go.
contested matches in these next 2 weeks.
Exactly, as late mail pops up here, which I might click on. But anyway, what's been happening? Anything new?
No, mate. Just day-to-day rigmarole. Got all my stuff together before we started tonight, so hopefully
Oh,
that's
well
a good
done.
sign. Always feel better when you don't really have to do anything
Exactly.
after the podcast. So it's handy.
That's good.
Yourself?
Good. Yeah, no, same. Had to feed with the missus, and here we are.
Very good.
Not much news around
What was
unless
on the menu?
pork belly and chicken and prawns. That was all right.
Very good.
Yeah, not bad from Western Sydney pub over there. But anyway, here we are. Let's talk about round 26. Not much other news, unless you're a South fan, then there's plenty of news apparently. There's some revelations coming out of that club today. I'm sure people can find them themselves. I won't go too deep into talking about too much, apart from the fact Sam Burgess is no longer there. He's officially off to the UK to become a head coach. And John Morris is coming back to the West Tigers as a head coach. Dare say probably not a bad signing.
Assistant, you mean? Yeah.
Assistant coach, I should say,
He's
yes.
not taking Benji's job, is he?
I'll give it 6 months and it'll be on the table. You watch.
Possibly.
If not earlier.
Yeah, probably a smart move from Sam, especially if there is a few ructions in and around the club. We've all heard how many stories, 4 or 5 different stories come out in the last 24 hours. He's got a job to do over at Warrington. He'll be back in a couple of years and take up a position probably back at South Sydney, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But other than that, Johnny Morris was basically told he could leave if he wanted to, but he's going to see out the rest of the year. So hopefully that all works out well for him. And I think he'd be a handy pickup for the Tigers. He seems to be more of your X's and O's type coach who puts together the defensive structures and attacking structures for the team. Sharks did all right under him, and he wasn't the worst coach in the world, so probably a decent pickup for you guys.
Well, no, he was probably particularly unlucky not to still be coaching the Sharks. You could
see out his
make
job,
a case
yeah,
for.
No.
Some other news is that Tanner Boyd has extended his stay at Gold Coast Titans till 2025, and as has Tom Starling. And Lockie Miller has been released to go to Leeds Rhinos, which I didn't think was a sentence I'd be saying 3 weeks into the comp, but here we are.
No, not even 10 weeks into the comp. Surprised somebody else in and around the NRL didn't throw an offer his way, but
No, exactly.
I guess a lot of them can't compete with the money that does come out of the UK, although it's not as big as it used to be. It's generally a fraction over what players get offered over here. So.
And it will be that sort of style. I think will suit him. Bit looser.
Yeah.
He was quick enough to blow a few teams away over there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll probably look like a superstar at the end of next year over there.
Exactly. Anything else we need to talk about which we haven't discussed in the last 48 hours?
Don't think of nothing that has come up that I thought I can think of. You?
Nope. So we may as well get into it. The Battle of the West kicks us off. Round 26 kicks off Thursday night at Bluebet Stadium with Penrith hosting the Eels. Brian Tuo's back, which means that Tom Jenkins goes to the reserves. Kenny and Sorensen are still out. Jack Cogger playing at 9. And Zach Hoskins moves into the back row. No Tango, but I believe part of this late mail that just popped up is that Taruva and Dylan Edwards are out. Jesse McLean's going to play fullback, and Jenkins is going to play, so maybe it's better if I just read the late mail from now on. For the Eels, Sean Lane is back. He's starting off the bench with Madison starting in the back row. Brendan Hands is the person to miss out there as Barney disappears, which means I will give the first tips, and that first tip is going to be Penrith. Not much. I'm not going to overanalyze this game too much. Para had their chance last week. I think the frantic state they've been in the last, couple of months just isn't going to work this time around against Penrith. The well-oiled machine will keep rolling along. It will be physical, and it may take them a while to get going, but I'm going to go Penrith. A comfortable 1-12, missing a couple of big guns there. but I can't imagine him getting too far out of second gear for a lot of this. Man of the match, Cleary, he'll just guide them around and do exactly what they need to. First try scorer, let's go with Hoskins. Coming back a pair closer, could suit him there from in the second row position, Barn.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go with the 13 plus. I just think by the back end of the game, if Penrith are physical enough with them, you might see the Parramatta sort of wilt towards the back end of this match. But yeah, I expect it to be pretty tough at the beginning. Yeah, Penrith 13 plus, Cleary man of the match, and Hoskins first try scorer. Everything that you said there on that Sorensen running line. I expect they will go. Expect Critter and Brian Tyler might have a pretty good night out on that right edge as well at different times. So yeah, I can see Penrith really putting on a show in the last sort of 15, 20 minutes of this game.
Yeah. Do you reckon that left wing might have a target on it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Brian Tyler with double would be. I think it's around 350, so it's not a bad price.
It is not a bad price at all. Friday kicks off. We see third place Warriors against the Dragons from Go Media Stadium. Tamari Martin named in the extended bench here. Not sure whether he'll come back into the team or kick off the bench there. With Freddie Lussick on, I guess, the backup hooker at the moment, might be the one to make way unless Luke Metcalf does, and we'll see what happens there. No Mitch Barnett at the moment, and not a lot else has changed from the Warriors' point of view. Zach Lomax is back for the Dragons, and Connor Malaysian is on the bench, pending Jake Laurie injury getting cleared for HI, I believe. The rest of them is what we saw last week from the Dragons. Any hope here for them?
I hope they play a similar type of game that they put up last week. I think that can trouble this Warriors. We've talked about how the outside backs of the Warriors do manage to let in a few tries out there that some of the better teams don't. So I can see this being another game that's pretty close for an hour or thereabouts, maybe 50 minutes. But yeah, I see this team who's forced their way into the top four, and it looks like they're going to concrete that third position as a minimum for the year, running away with this game again and putting a few tries on at the back end to blow the score out. Another one that I'd be looking at for a double would be Dallin again. He's just been scoring tries for fun. I think his odds are about half of what Brian's are, though. So
pretty good clash out there, Ravalawa and Dallin. I think that's
yeah, absolutely. I just think you might be able to get around him a couple of times with a bit of that footwork and pace that he has. Yeah, Warriors 13 plus, man of the match, Sean Johnson, just to add another 3 points to his tally for the year. And I'm going to go with, as I said, Dallin to score that first try. I think it'll come down that side, whether it's Dallin or Ravalawa. I think one of those two should be the first try scorer.
You're not leaving me a great deal here. I agree again with everything you've basically said. I think that it'll take a long time. I like the energy and enthusiasm the younger Dragons players have brought to the side, and I think that will continue here, and they'll match up for an hour or so, but points will come later in the game. Led by Sean Johnson, as you said again, 3 points for him. First try scorer, we might go back in and around. We know how well they've done when it's either that spread to the right or it's opening up one of those holes for either Bunty and Torhu of late. Not Bunty. Fanua Blake will go first try scorer. But I think it'll be one of those plays where they almost go over untouched, which we've seen time and again in the last few weeks.
Very good.
Friday night main event from Suncorp is the Dolphins hosting the Cowboys, who welcome back, the Dolphins welcome back Hammer, who's also back to fullback. Lemueli and Bromwich are both big ins for them. Means Nicarima's at 6, O'Sullivan still 7, Harrison Graham still at 9, Ewan Aitken playing off the bench, with Tessinu Jennings in the centres. For the Cowboys, Hillam Lukey is back into the starting side, replacing Nanai, and Finufiaki is onto the bench. Tuolangi goes back to the wing, and Zach Labat into the centres with Valame injured last week, and obviously Val Holmes still suspended. Absolute last roll of the dice here for the Cowboys. How have you seen these two line up?
Yeah, well, I'm expecting the Dolphins to probably put in a similar performance to what we saw against the Tigers, and if they get dominated through the middle like they did against that Tigers team, there's that extra 2 or 3 points of attack that the Cowboys have that the Tigers weren't able to provide last week. So I think they may again score 18, 20 points, but I think the Cowboys may just dominate for large periods of the game, and expecting Dearden to have a fantastic game in this one. I think there'll be the opportunities in and around the halves and centres for him to go probing with his runs and then set up some of these guys on the outside. Get Scotty Drinkwater chiming in back through the middle and his changes of angles and ball passing that he does provide. I think the Cowboys win and do it pretty comfortably. 13 plus, Dearden man of the match, and I've gone with Luciano to score the first try. I think on that right hand edge with the big barging second row will barge his way over for the first try.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys as well. I think this will be physical and a close game for 45, 50 minutes here. I just think there's the middle defense for the Cowboys should be better than what the Dolphins have taken on the last couple of weeks. And there'll be a bit more start through there, which shuts down some of their scoring opportunities unless it's Nicarima digging into the line. Too big game for Peter Hiku. He's had a decent season. And I've just got a feeling some of these Dolphins outside backs aren't quite with us apart from Zarko. So I'm going to go with him, man of the match, actually. And Tuolangi to benefit from some of his work to score the first try. Something a bit different.
Yeah, tough night for the outside backs out there.
Yeah, exactly. The Storm and the Titans at Amy Park kick us off on Saturday afternoon, where Pappenhausen has been named on an extended bench. I haven't heard any updates since then, but I assume close enough might be good enough here. So, and he'll probably start on the bench if he does. Kieran Foran's back for the Titans. Jojo Defeat is back from an ankle injury. Jermaine Jolliffe is going to start and Liu on the bench. Last week they did swap around. Tom Weaver keeps the 7 jersey with old mate Tanner still injured. About the rest of this looks like what you'd expect from both these sides. I think this might be a good game. I think Titans were up for it for a long time last week against Penrith. I think they'll do the same here. I'm going to stick with the favourites, so the Storm to wrap up a top 4 spot, but I think this is going to be free scoring. I think Titans score 22, 26 points, as they managed to do most games. David Fafita is going to lead the way with that, but I'm going to say man of the match, Harry Grant. He's had a hot month, and let's go for Fafita first try, but Grant man of the match. We've seen Melbourne quite slow to start some of these games of late, so we know Titans pretty good at getting out to a 12-point lead, and we might see that again. Barn.
You've left nothing for me this time. Even in the games Storm have dominated, they've generally started in that first 20 minutes or 30 minutes pretty slowly and taken time to warm into a match. So if that trend continues, yeah, I'm with you. I think David Fafita can score the first try. The Titans may even break out to a 2-try lead or something early in this game, and then once the Storm come back into it, they'll come roaring back into it with the likes of Hughes, Munster, and Grant all having their hands all over the attacking play. I think the Storm win it. They do win it comfortably in the end, but the Titans will fight all the way to the end. I can just see a flood of points coming in a sort of 20-minute period when the Storm are really up and rolling. So 13 plus the Storm. I've gone with Jerome Hughes, another one who's been in brilliant form for the last month for the Storm as man of the match, and David Fafita, first try scorer.
5:30. The Roosters' season hopes are on the line against the West Tigers here, where they welcome back Sam Walker straight back into 7. Drew Hutchinson goes back to 18th man, perhaps unluckily so, after his last couple of weeks. Sanders Smith keeps a 14 role. Cheese starts. And Jared Wirra-Hargraves has been named as a watch on him. Joey Manu goes to fullback with Teddy being rested / HIA HIA'd, yeah, for lack of a better term. Will Smith is the Tigers' number 7 this week. Yeah, as the only change from the team that beat the Dolphins last week. I'm not really expecting miracles. Tigers can get up for a game like this, but as I said on Monday, the corresponding game last year was 70.
Yeah, I think last week might have been the last hurrah for the Tigers for the season.
I am
Going.
terrified of how these outside backs are going to line up. Kapoa, and not that Riley did anything wrong, but he's a second game rookie. Taking on Billy Smith, Daniel Tupou, Swali, and Manu with a license to roam is pretty scary. Roosters 13 plus. As is always the case, the forward battle will be fine. They'll, if not more than match up, at least hold their own. And Appy will lead them around the park well enough. But I'm going to say man of the match. I'm going to go with Billy Smith again. In a bit of a centre mood tonight. First try scorer, though, Daniel Tupou. Probably walking over as Kapoa rushes in and leaves poor old Junior standing around looking a bit lost.
That connection between the halves is going to be interesting. We saw when they were playing together at the start of the year, it was very mismatched. 1 week they'd be good, the next 2 or 3 weeks they'd be poor. So how he rolls back into this side is going to be
It's
interesting
actually
to
a
see.
very big game for him, given the mojo they've sort of found.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he will have a point to prove, and I think you'll see him going at the line a lot on his own, trying to provide something for himself. And I'm even going to go with him for the first try scorer. I think either a little chip in behind or a run close to the line where he jinks in beside somebody and score the first try for the Roosters. As I said, yeah, as you said, the forward battle should be a pretty good one to watch. Actually, they both seem like going off season performances. They're both pretty well matched up. With the Tigers maybe even having a slight edge, but yeah, the outside backs is where it's at. I was looking at Billy Smith as well for the first try scorer, but you picking him convinced me to go to my second option in Sam Walker. So, but Manu at fullback, just about every time he goes there, he's close to the best player on the field. So I'm going to go with him as man of the match.
Cool. Clutch game for the Raiders here as they host Brisbane with Jack Whiten being named on extended bench. Looks like he'll play after missing with a hamstring last week. Matt Frawley for the moment has been named at 6. Horsburgh looks like he'll be fine to play after his head knock. Hopewade won't be. And James Schiller could be off the bench, given that the only other standby there is Seb Chris, but we'll wait and see on all of that. With the Broncos, Corey Oates is back with Dean Mariner going out, and Jesse Arthur's on standby there. No Adam Reynolds, so Jock is still in the side. I don't think that will matter here, will it, Barn?
I wouldn't think so. It is a little concerning to see Reynolds missing the last couple of games heading in towards the back. Whether it's just
I'm assuming it's
taking that extra precaution coming into finals time.
Yeah.
He probably could have played. Maybe I'm suggesting, but it's been left out just to protect him. Yeah, I think once the outside backs of these Broncos start getting continual ball out wide, I think it could open up and be you might see a couple of these outside backs for Canberra look pretty silly at different times during this match. We've seen the continued effort out of the likes of Staggs, Farnworth, and Cobbo recently, and I think that'll continue, and that you might just see a flood of points after a really good half an hour with this middle, because the middles match up quite well. I think Carrigan's in for a big game. I expect he generally rises when he's up against some of the better packs in this competition, and I think you're going to see a lot of work out of him, as well as maybe some really nice ball playing. So I've got him down as man of the match. I think Broncos blow Canberra away by the end of this match, even though it may be close come half time. Broncos 13 plus, and I went with Corey Oates. Reece Walsh on the sweep out to the left, and Corey Oates to score the first.
It is his 200th game too, so we know these milestone tries tend to pop up a lot, so maybe worth a dabble there. I agree. They'll put a number on them. It doesn't matter. They have Reynolds. They've got their full strength forward pack now. They'll just get through the work they need to get through for half an hour, and we've seen how ragged this Canberra backline's been in the last few weeks. We've seen what even the Tigers opened them up a few times. Who'd they play last week and got cleaned up? Oh, even the Bulldogs looked dangerous at times against them. Sorry.
Storm kept them to 2.
And Storm kept them to
couple of
2.
weeks back.
So I think Stags and Farnworth are absolutely in the game here. Going to Herbie first try scorer over Paul Jared. And man of the match, haven't left me with the obvious forward. So Reece Walsh will chime in for a couple of try assists and look brilliant again. We've got the Bulldogs hosting the Seagulls on Sunday at a call. It's a 2:00 game. Carl Oluwapu is now fit, but at the moment he's just on extended bench. Okay, it's good late mail. Apart from that, it doesn't look like there's too many changes. Actually, the team last week, Curtis Moran's back into the team. Who's come out there? I think he's just swapped around for. Anyway, who cares? For Manly,
much at all, no.
Manly with the injury to Garrick Cooler goes back to fullback. Brad Parker back into the centres. Ben Turbo's back, which pushes Tuolungi to the bench. Schuster has been dropped officially. And Gordon Chan Kum Tong is now into the 14 role, who we like the look of in the brief minutes we've seen of him in the preseason. What do you made of this one?
Yeah, big spruik around him as well. So big. I thought we would have seen him a long time ago, to be honest. But the fact that the hooker's been, that Lachlan Croker's been going so well, I guess there hasn't really been a need for him. He's been pumping out 80 minutes and getting through every bit of those 80 minutes. So be interesting to see where they slot him in. Hopefully he gets 20 or 30 minutes to show us what he's got. I think I've got the same sort of feeling about the Bulldogs as I do with the Tigers. I think last week might have probably been their best performance left in them for the rest of the year. In the next 2 weeks, you might see a bit of a bludger performance out of the Bulldogs. They do have some fresh guys, obviously, in Kikau, who's been hot and cold recently and at his best can be quite destructive. Liam Knight's come in to freshen up that pack a little bit. And they do have, obviously some pace out wide. It can cause problems against this Sea Eagles team, but that's probably the reason I'll keep it 1 to 12. Manly have been very hit and miss recently, especially when in the way that they score tries. They can go on a run for a couple of tries, but then they seem to drop the ball every other set after they've put points on. So 1 to 12, but a very comfortable 1 to 12. DCE, man of the match. If it's, generally Manly win, if it's either Tommy or DCE that end up with the 3 points. And I really like Cooler at fullback. I think you might see Saab break away down the edge and looking back inside and finds Cooler to score the first try.
Yeah, I agree as well that Manly. I'm going to go Manly 1 to 12 again. I think this is a tougher game, but they matched up and could argue were unlucky against the Warriors with that late call.
True.
They're right in that game. If momentum doesn't swing there, they probably beat them. That was all in the back of DC getting him around the field, as he has done admirably for many a year now. He's going to get 3 points here, I'd say. I like what I saw out of Harper and De Vega last week as well at times, so I'm going with them to produce some points here. I'm going to go with Tuamalo Vega, first try scorer, out on that edge. Basically just what you mentioned, but on the opposite side. And we're going to wrap up with the game of the round. Barney, are you popping out to watch this gourmet feast of rugby league?
I think I'll have to.
As the Knights and the Sharks put their potential top 4 credentials, but definitely top 8 credentials on the line here. Hastings looks likely to play now. He has been named.
Yes, I heard.
And the Sharks are unchanged. So we're pretty much getting all but full strength from both sides here. 2 hot teams, the 2 probably form teams of the last month, if you're not including the top 2. What a cracker! I'm gonna stick to my guns there. Sold out Newcastle Stadium, and Newcastle just red hot. I think can produce points again. We know some of that edge defense can again get shaky. Seems where I spent my whole night tonight, but it wasn't planned. But I'm looking to that left edge again. Hastings, Fitzgibbon, Ponga chiming in best, and Mazu will score in the corner for the first try. And I'm going to stick with Jacko first to really be the puppet master here and make Ponga look good. All that being said, we're probably going to give Kayla another 3, and I'll compare him to Hayne 09 again next week.
Very good. I'm going to go with. I think you're going to see a lot of points come down this right hand side for the Knights, so the left hand side in defence for the Sharks, which has been a common theme. But I think it's going to go the other way as well. I think you're going to see Ronaldo and Talakai really attacking the likes of Young and Gagai, which will seem profitable. I think, yeah, one side of the field, you might see the majority of the points in this game pop up, and the other side of the field not be used as much. But obviously, I'm going with the Sharks. They've been on a roll for the last 3 to 4 weeks. If their forward pack can put in the same performance they put in last week, I think they handily hold this Newcastle pack, even though it is strong enough. Especially once you start getting into the interchange rotation, I think the Sharks should be strong enough to hold that middle for a large part of that game of this game. And I think that's really where it's going to come down to being won. I know that they do have strike weapons on the edges, but the longer you hold the middle in this game, I think it obviously limits the opportunities for the opposition. So it's going to go to a big way of who wins this game. If the Sharks can aim up and the likes of Rudolph, Nakora, Ueli, Royce Hunt have the games that they did last week, throw in Hazleton, I think they can cover the likes of the Saifidi boys and Hetherington and the like. So Sharks 1 to 12. Man of the match, I'm going to go Talakai. I think he may score a double and set up a double for Ronaldo down that edge, up against Gagai in defence. So, but I'm going to go the first try the other way. I'm going to go Gagai to score the first try, getting on the inside or the outside of Talakai. So it'll be a ding dong game. I think there'll be points both ways, and you're going to be entertained for the majority of it, I would imagine, unless one of these teams has a blowout and plays like a bludger. But I can't really see it happening off the previous form. So
The back row clash is fantastic. Like really great clash there with the form all 6 of them have been in the last month or so.
absolutely.
And you're right, Hazleton does sort of stick out there as a game breaker in a game that they might be well matched up for half an hour.
Yeah.
Should he do that, then the directness that Tracy and Trindle have brought lately puts them right in the game. It's a cracker. Looking forward to talking about it next Monday night. Are you ready with a bet or two for the punting disaster class?
I am, mate. Yes. We both lost again last week, which is not unusual.
Not
Manly,
different.
Melbourne let you down by not covering the line, and I had I think it was a HIA to Hopewade, which was the only leg that missed in my try scoring multi, and I had the Sharks, but I only had them 1 to 12.
Wow.
So what do you do? They scored too many tries for me. Minus $799.50 for me. Minus $900.10 for yourself. I'm going to go with what I mentioned in running. Brian Toto to score a double. Dallin Wateni Zalesniak to score a double. Put them together, you get $8.50. I'm going to have $20 on that. And then I'm going to have the top 3 to win and win well. So Penrith, Broncos, Warriors, all to win 13 plus. And I'm going to have $30 on that. It'll get you $4.50.
I'm going to go all 50. Let's have another crack at these lines. Brisbane, minus 9.5
Yep.
against Canberra. Manly, minus 6.5 against the Bulldogs. I think they cover that and cover that well. And Newcastle, minus 3.5. That
Okay,
gets
yep.
you just on $7, $6.90 and change.
Nice.
So let's call it 7 between friends, eh?
Yes, let's do that.
What's got you frothing this week, Barney boy?
It's pretty obvious from mine. So I'll start with the one that's a little less obvious for mine. I think the Raiders Broncos. I think the forward battle will be fantastic for at least the first half. See massive bodies flying in at each other for a big part of this game and some really big collisions. So that's number one. And yeah, the second one is 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon.
That's mine. 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. We get to see the two, hot teams the last 3 weeks. They're both going to throw the ball around. They've got enough physicality now, and you got to say they're both been well coached through this period. So, looking forward to seeing that clash. Also, just a side one. Looking forward to Dallin and Ravalawa butting heads out in the wing Friday
Should be
night.
a good
I think that should be
matchup.
a lot of fun if all things are equal there. Anything else you want to finish on?
No, not particularly.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys. Of course, leave us some feedback, some comments on YouTube or through our socials threads, Footy and Frothies, Facebook, X, and Instagram. And we'll be back on Monday night to look back at it all. And later in the week, we will preview the last round of the season proper. In the weeks ahead, we've got some, we'll look back on the fortunes of some of the bottom 4 teams, but that's all ahead of us. Check out rugbyleaguemerch.com, buy some hats and beanies and whatnot, and enjoy another very good weekend of rugby league ahead. Take care, guys.